Everyone's telling you to stay positive, trust the process, and manifest your dream life. But what happens when life punches you in the throat, twice? When the relationship ends, the business collapses, or the phone call changes everything. That's when most advice evaporates. And in that silence, something ancient whispers back. You don't control the storm, but you can control the way you stand in it. This isn't a motivational video. It's a survival manual, built on 2,000 years of wisdom from emperors, exiles, and warriors who faced death, betrayal, and exile, and didn't break. In the next few minutes, you'll learn how Stoicism can make you mentally unshakable. We'll debunk the myths, train your mind for chaos, expose why chasing happiness is a trap, and hand you the tools to become truly undefeatable. Not by avoiding pain, but by walking through it with clarity, courage, and purpose. If you've ever felt overwhelmed, stuck, or like you're barely holding it together, this video will change the way you face the world. But you have to stay with me until the end, because the last insight may just be the one that flips your entire perspective. Let's begin. You felt it, haven't you? The sense that the world's gone mad. Notifications buzz like fire alarms, headlines scream about disasters, and people snap over the tiniest inconveniences. In the middle of all this noise, Stoicism steps in, not as an escape but as an anchor. It doesn't promise you a perfect life. It doesn't even try to sugarcoat pain. What it gives you is something much rarer, the ability to stand still while the world shakes. It's not about turning off your feelings, it's about not letting them own you. Stoicism matters today because the storms we face aren't just outside, they're internal. Anxiety, comparison, burnout, outrage, fatigue. These are the new plagues, and no amount of scrolling or spending seems to cure them. That's where Stoicism enters like a cold, clear breath. It tells you, this moment is all you ever had control over. Not the economy. Not other people. Just your choices right now. And somehow, that small truth becomes a massive relief. This isn't about becoming emotionless or robotic. That's one of the biggest myths. Stoicism invites you to feel, but to choose your response. It's not detachment, it's clarity. A way of saying, yes, this hurts. Yes, this is unfair. But what will I do about it? That question changes everything. It transforms pain into purpose and chaos into calm. Suddenly, you're not drowning in life, you're swimming through it with intention. And here's the kicker. Stoicism doesn't demand you be strong all the time. It just asks that you don't waste your energy on what you can't change. In a world that profits from your outrage and panic, that's a revolutionary act. But how did we get here, where ancient philosophy feels more relevant than ever? That takes us straight into the next trap we need to dismantle. Let's get one thing straight. Stoicism is not about suppressing your emotions and pretending nothing bothers you. That image of the stone-faced man who never flinches? That's Hollywood, not history. Real Stoicism is far more nuanced. It's not about ignoring pain, it's about understanding it. It's not about being cold, it's about staying clear. The Stoics weren't trying to numb themselves. They were trying to stay awake, fully conscious, especially when life hit hard. Most people hear Stoicism and imagine someone who's shut off. But that's a tragic misread. Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus weren't monks in caves. They were emperors, exiles, and former slaves dealing with betrayal, illness, and death. They felt everything. What made them stoic wasn't a lack of emotion. It was the discipline to act with virtue even in the face of it. You see, they didn't run from fear or grief. They simply refused to be ruled by it. And there's a reason so many people misunderstand it. We live in a culture obsessed with either toxic positivity or performative victimhood. Stoicism offers a third way. It says, neither deny your suffering nor drown in it. You can hold pain in one hand and purpose in the other. You can lose everything and still keep your character intact. That's not suppression. That's mastery. And mastery doesn't mean perfection. It means progress, one hard choice at a time. So if you thought Stoicism was about shutting down, think again. It's about turning inward to find strength so you're not dependent on the chaos outside. It's about becoming emotionally intelligent, not emotionally absent. And that's why so many people, burnt out by modern life, end up turning to it, not out of curiosity but out of survival. Let's talk about that next. No one really finds Stoicism by accident. Most people discover it after something breaks, internally or externally. A loss, a betrayal, a burnout so deep even sleep doesn't help. That's when the noise of modern life becomes unbearable, and suddenly ancient wisdom feels like the only thing that makes sense. Stoicism doesn't show up with flashy solutions or quick wins. It shows up with a quiet whisper: you can't control this storm, but you can control your sail. What draws people in isn't the philosophy, it's the sanity. When everything else feels like chaos, Stoicism offers structure. Not rigid rules, but timeless principles that anchor you. You don't need to be a scholar to apply them. You just need to be exhausted enough from trying everything else. You've chased happiness, avoided pain, tried to fix everyone and everything, and none of it worked. Stoicism is what people find when they're ready to stop reacting and start responding. And let's be honest, modern life sells the illusion of control. You're told you can manifest anything, hack everything, optimize your way to bliss. But then your plan gets shattered. That's when the Stoic truth hits. Not everything is up to you, and that's okay. Real power isn't about controlling outcomes, it's about choosing your attitude when outcomes slip through your fingers. That's when you stop needing perfect days to feel peace. So people turn to Stoicism because it doesn't pretend. It doesn't promise that life will get easier. It promises that you can get stronger. And that subtle shift, from blaming the world to building yourself, becomes the beginning of a new kind of clarity. A clarity that grows sharper every time you face discomfort on purpose. And speaking of discomfort, imagine doing something uncomfortable on purpose. Not because you enjoy suffering, but because you're preparing for it. That's exactly what the Stoics called voluntary discomfort. Sleep on the floor. Skip a meal. Wear plain clothes. Not to punish yourself, but to build mental muscle. Because when life eventually rips comfort away, spoiler, it will, you won't panic. You've trained for this. You've already stood in the cold. Now the wind feels familiar. This idea sounds extreme in a world addicted to convenience. But that's the point. Modern comfort has made us fragile. We confuse luxury with happiness and inconvenience with trauma. Stoicism teaches the opposite. Seek challenge while you still have the choice. Walk when you could drive. Fast when you could feast. Be still when your impulse is to scroll. These aren't punishments, they're practice. Rehearsals for the moments you don't get to choose. And here's the magic. Discomfort shrinks fear. The more you do hard things on your terms, the less terrifying they become when they're forced on you. You lose your job? You've already faced uncertainty. You get sick? You've practiced staying calm in chaos. Voluntary discomfort doesn't make you immune to pain, it makes you ready. Like fire drills for your nervous system. So when life catches fire, you don't freeze. You act. This mindset flips the script on happiness. Instead of chasing it, you learn to generate it, even when conditions suck. And that kind of internal strength? It's rare. Because most people are still caught in the trap of thinking joy comes from outside. That trap is deeper than it looks, and that's exactly what we'll dismantle next. Let's be brutally honest. Most people are exhausted not because life is hard, but because they're chasing happiness like it's a finish line. I'll be happy when becomes the soundtrack of their lives. When I get the job. When I find the right person. When I make enough money. But here's the Stoic truth. Happiness that depends on circumstances is a form of slavery. You're tying your peace to things you can't fully control, and deep down you know it. The more you chase happiness, the more it runs. It's like trying to hold fog in your hands. The Stoics saw this centuries ago. They didn't waste time asking, what will make me happy? They asked, what will make me free? And freedom, they knew, came from within. From living in alignment with virtue, not chasing dopamine hits. So while the world runs after the next big thing, the Stoic cultivates joy through discipline, self-respect, and clarity. Ironically, when you stop demanding that life entertain or fulfill you, you begin to notice small, steady joys. A clear mind. A good decision. The relief of not needing applause. That's not flashy, but it's sustainable. The Stoics weren't joyless. They just didn't rent their joy from random events. They built it like a fortress, brick by brick, choice by choice. And that's why their peace couldn't be taken away, not even by exile, poverty, or death. So if you've ever felt like happiness keeps slipping through your fingers, maybe it's because you're grabbing at the wrong things. Stoicism doesn't kill your joy, it kills your dependency on conditions. And when you finally let go of needing everything to go your way, something surprising happens. You gain a sense of power. A quiet authority. The kind that grows even stronger when you understand what really is under your control. If you only remember one Stoic idea, let it be this. Some things are up to us and some things are not. That's it. That's the cornerstone of Stoicism. the dichotomy of control. It sounds simple, but it's revolutionary. Most of your stress comes from trying to control what you can't. What others think. How events unfold. Whether the world treats you fairly. The Stoic says, stop wasting your life fighting tides you were never meant to steer. What is under your control? Your thoughts. Your actions. Your values. Your effort. That's your domain, your territory. Everything else, traffic, the weather, your past, other people's behavior, that's outside. The Stoic mindset builds a wall between the two. Not to disconnect you from the world, but to keep your peace from being held hostage by it. It's like choosing to carry an umbrella instead of screaming at the sky. The shift changes everything. You stop arguing with reality. You stop rehearsing conversations in your head that never happened. You stop resenting what should have been and deal with what is. The Stoic doesn't ignore emotion. He redirects it. Frustration becomes focus. Fear becomes preparation. Regret becomes reflection. All because they've trained themselves to act only where their will matters. And when you begin to live this way, you become dangerous, in the best sense of the word. You're no longer emotionally whiplashed by circumstances. You're steady like a lighthouse in a storm. Not because the waves stopped, but because you know which ones are yours to navigate. And when you navigate well, you start to develop something deeper than control. Virtue. And that takes us exactly where we need to go next. You've probably heard words like wisdom, courage, temperance, and justice thrown around before, but the Stoics didn't just admire these virtues, they built their entire lives around them. These weren't abstract ideals. They were daily practices. A Stoic didn't ask, am I successful? They asked, am I living with virtue today? That shift, from chasing outcomes to embodying character, is what transforms ordinary people into resilient, respected forces. Wisdom was the foundation. Not just knowledge but practical insight, the ability to choose what matters and act accordingly. Wisdom is knowing when to speak and when to stay silent. It's choosing clarity over chaos. In a world drowning in opinions and distractions, wisdom is rare and radical. Then comes courage, not the absence of fear but moving forward despite it. Courage is showing up when it's easier to hide. It's telling the truth when a lie would be more comfortable. Next is temperance, the art of self-control. It's the quiet strength that keeps you from overreacting, overindulging, overcompensating. While the world chases more, the Stoic learns when enough is actually more than plenty. And finally, justice. Not just fairness in the courtroom but integrity in daily life. Treating others with respect. Doing the right thing even when it's inconvenient. For the Stoic, justice was never optional, it was the point of everything. Together, these four virtues become your compass. They guide decisions, shape reactions, and build legacy. And here's the beauty, they're available to anyone at any moment. No degree, no money, no perfect background required. Just the willingness to practice. Day by day. Choice by choice. And the more you live by them, the more you begin to notice something fascinating. Modern psychology has started echoing these same truths. It's kind of wild when you think about it. Ideas from 2,000 years ago are now being validated by modern science. Cognitive behavioral therapy? Albert Ellis, one of its pioneers, literally said he based it on Stoicism. His approach, called REBT, teaches that your thoughts shape your emotions, not external events. Sound familiar? That's straight out of Epictetus. It's not things that upset us but our opinions about them. The Stoics didn't need brain scans. They lived the neuroscience. Then there's logotherapy, Viktor Frankl's powerful contribution to modern psychology. Frankl survived concentration camps, and yet still believed life had meaning, even in suffering. His insight? That humans can endure almost anything if they find purpose in it. That echoes the Stoic belief that pain isn't what breaks us, it's meaninglessness. Purpose gives pain a frame. It doesn't erase suffering, but it transforms it from random to redemptive. Even mindfulness, which most people associate with Buddhism, has a Stoic twin. The practice of being fully present, observing your thoughts without judgment. Marcus Aurelius was writing about that in his journal centuries ago. The Stoics called it attention to the now, and they trained their minds daily to observe reality without distortion. Not to escape it, but to engage with it wisely. The idea was never to avoid pain, but to meet it with presence and principle. So what does this mean for you? It means Stoicism isn't some dusty relic, it's a psychological survival kit in disguise. It's not just a philosophy, it's a therapy, a practice, a way of thinking that aligns your inner world regardless of the mess outside. And once you begin to use it, something powerful happens. You stop trying to become invincible and instead you start becoming undefeatable. There's a difference between being invincible and being undefeatable. Invincible means nothing can touch you, untouchable, unshaken, immune. But let's be honest, that's a fantasy. Life will touch you. It'll break your plans, bend your pride, maybe even shatter your heart. The Stoic doesn't pretend otherwise. They don't aim to be untouchable. They aim to be unbreakable in spirit, even when everything else cracks. Becoming undefeatable doesn't mean you win every battle. It means you don't lose yourself in the fight. You face failure and show up again. You get hurt but don't harden. You suffer loss but hold on to your values. The Stoic strength isn't in denying pain, it's in refusing to be defined by it. That's the kind of resilience no one can give you, and no one can take away. It's earned. And it makes you a rare force in a world full of flinching. This kind of strength grows quietly. It's built in early mornings when you choose discipline over distraction. In conversations where you stay calm instead of reacting. In losses where you walk with dignity instead of collapsing into bitterness. People may not notice at first, but you will. Because you'll feel the shift. Less panic, more purpose. Less drama, more direction. That's what it means to become truly undefeatable. And once you realize that, even the worst-case scenarios lose their power over you. If you can face pain with purpose, face discomfort with courage, and face life without illusions, what's left to fear? Maybe just one thing. Reaching the end of your life and realizing you lived by accident, not by design. Which brings us to the final and most important lesson. Picture this. You've done everything right. You've worked hard, loved deeply, lived honestly, and still the ship sinks. The business fails. The illness comes. The goodbye arrives too soon. This is the part of life no one wants to talk about. The part where effort doesn't guarantee reward. And yet, this is where Stoicism shines brightest. It doesn't promise you calm seas. It prepares you for how to stand when the water rises above your head. To the Stoic, a good life isn't measured in years or trophies. It's measured in how you lived. Did you act with courage when fear knocked? Did you choose wisdom when ignorance felt easier? Did you practice justice when no one was watching? If so, then even if the ship goes down, you go down with integrity. And that, the Stoics believed, was more valuable than any external success. This isn't about embracing tragedy. It's about refusing to let tragedy erase meaning. Life has an expiration date. And when you remember that, truly remember it, you stop wasting time on things that don't matter. You show up fully. You speak with intention. You love without conditions. That's the paradox. Accepting death makes life more vivid. And living well becomes your ultimate form of defiance against chaos. So yes, one day the ship will sink. And you might go down with it. But if you've lived like a Stoic, on purpose, in virtue, with clarity, then even the end won't defeat you. Because defeat was never about dying. It was about living without meaning. And now that you know how to live with meaning, what will you do next? So now you know, Stoicism isn't about becoming emotionless. It's about becoming unbreakable where it counts. You don't need to control the chaos. You just need to control you, your thoughts, your actions, your integrity. And when you do that, life hits different. The storm doesn't stop, but you do stop sinking. But here's the part that matters most. Knowing this won't change you. Living it will. So ask yourself, where in your life are you still trying to control what's not yours? Where are you postponing strength, waiting for things to get easier? Because they won't. But you can get stronger. If this message struck a nerve, don't just nod and move on. Hit subscribe. Click that bell. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Really hear it. And drop a comment below. What's one area of your life where you're choosing clarity over control, starting now? Remember, you may not be invincible. But with the right mindset, you'll be damn hard to defeat.